G'day guys, welcome back to another video. I did say about nearly 8 months ago that I was going to give a rundown on my two BSW German-made side-by-side shotguns. Now I'm getting around to it. We've got two shotguns here and I bought these not as a pair. This one I paid $175 for and this one I paid $200 for. The reason they were so cheap is they had significant wear on them. But yeah, it is what it is. I like them. I reckon they're nice shotguns. They're not, you know, super expensive. They're not super rare or collectible, but you know, I just like them. This one here is a Model 35 and this one here is a Model 35F. Without checking the date stamps, I'm pretty sure off the top of my head, this one's made in 1937 and this one's here made in 1938. Now, BSW used to be called Simpson. So pre-World War II, it was called Simpson. In 1935, the name was changed to BSW because the Nazi Party took over the Simpson factory and then started manufacturing guns out of there under the BSW name. In about 1939, early 1939, the BSW factory was grouped with another couple of factories from what I can gather, reading some articles and books and whatever. And then that factory was destroyed during the war. And then after the war, it became Simpson again. Now, the reason why the Nazi Party took over that factory is it was run by a Jewish family. The Simpson family are Jews. So that's why they took it over. They wanted it to be a quote-unquote Aryan German company, not a Jewish company. Now, BSW did make K98s for the Wehrmacht, as well as a lot of nice sporting firearms. So some pretty prominent Germans had been gifted some BSW shotguns and double rifles. You can read about that online. There's a pretty good history about it. So this is an old 1938 catalogue that I've printed out and laminated. So I've got it in book form. So yeah, this is this gun here. So the Model 35. Now this is the non-ejector, so it is Model 35. If it was an ejector, it would be Model 35E. So anytime you see an E on these shotguns, it means it's the ejector model. So let's have a look at the Model 35. All right, so this here is the Model 35. Now this had a really shit butt pad on it when I first got it. I made this butt plate just to cover the end grain up. That will probably get replaced at some point potentially, but it works, although it is steel, so not the best for recoil. It has a Prince of Wales style grip. Now this checkering is a bit shit because it's been redone at some point. This whole stock was polyurethane finished when I got it, which is one of the reasons why its value was all the way down. This was all filled up, had to clean all the polyurethane out, but then it had also been at some point recheckered by someone not very well, and that's probably why they put the polyurethane over the top, because this is supposed to be an oil finish. So potentially that can get recut. I don't know how well that's going to be able to get fixed, but it is what it is. Had a broken trigger guard. This is a plastic trigger guard. They do, in some of the higher grades, have that made of bone, but on the, obviously these are the cheap, really cheap versions that BSW made. So it was broken at the bottom there, wouldn't retain itself. So I made this out of steel, re-inletted all that in, and then it's got a little strap that's connected to this to hold it to that screw, so that is all in there good and tight. Now this is the very plain version. When we go into the F, you'll see a few differences. So this one has pretty simple engraving on it. There's a wee duck on the bottom there. Yeah, very simple gun. Once again, the fore-end, same thing, checkering's a bit shit. And the barrels were completely in the white when I got it, and I kind of managed to restore that bluing a little bit. So it's tight on face, as I said, yeah, it shoots well, so quite nice. And when we look at the book, you can see that that's what the engraving is. Obviously, these are really nice drawings. I love old school manuals and pamphlets like this where they have hand-drawn pictures. I just think it's a very classy way of showing off the gun. Now, what mine doesn't have is this engraving. I don't actually know if they do have this on some models, but obviously I've got two guns and both of them don't have it, but every single picture you'll see, they have that on there. So whether my two guns are obviously this is a very late magazine or pamphlet, so maybe they started adding that later, I don't know. But yeah, that's that gun there. So when we go to the 35F, which is this one here. So it's essentially the same thing. This is a non-ejector model. If it was an FE, it would be an ejector. The difference on this one really is just the fact that it has more engraving. Much more engraving. Now this one does have a steel trigger guard as opposed to that plastic one, so that's potentially an upgrade on the F model. However, if you have a look at the drawing in the pamphlet, it has that same plastic trigger guard, so I'm not too sure what it's supposed to have. But yeah, this one has a steel one. Has a different type of grip too, so it doesn't have the Prince of Wales grip. Someone's fitted this with a kick ease at some point. This one has a very chewed up forend, as you can see there. And the barrels are one not on face, so there's a gap in here, which makes it not safe to shoot. And also the ribs, both top and bottom ribs are coming off. You can see that moving there. That's not supposed to happen. Little other differences is one of side clips, so it's a little bit more fancy, better engraving, and yeah. But one thing I do want to show you on top here, while I've got it here, is right there, Evans and Balfour. They were an outdoorsy store in Melbourne in the 30s. I'm sure they were around before that, but they were at the time of importing these. Now BSW did mill out that blank, and then whoever imported them would stamp their own name into there. You can also see right here it has Simpson electro-penciled onto the barrel. And that's because when they changed that to BSW, people didn't know who the bloody hell they were, because Simpson already had a very good reputation on particularly the Australian ones that are imported. That makes both of their shotguns kind of rare, only in the fact that they were made by BSW, which was only for a short amount of time, so between 1935 and 39. And then obviously in September 1939, when the war kicked off, there was an import ban on anything German in Australia. So obviously they banned importing these guns from BSW. So it means that there is a very small amount of them that got imported into Australia, having the Evans and Balfour name on them. So that's pretty cool. A little bit of Australian history there. Obviously there's a billion of these in the world, but these particular Australian ones isn't that many. So let's have a look at the pamphlet again. There's the 35F, we've looked at that. Now in the Model 35 as well, which I think is very, very interesting, built off the exact same action, we have these other models. We have the B, the BD and the DO. Essentially the 35B is a cape gun, so it has a rifle barrel on the right hand side and then a shotgun bore, so 12 gauge or 16. Then the rifle could come in 8x57 360, 8x57 JR, 9.3x72. We would call that 9.3x72R. In this, they call it 9.3x72 normal. We have 6.5x52, 7x57R, 30 Winchester, which is actually 30-30, 405 Winchester, 9.3x53, 10.3x60. Which is all pretty cool. Now they're pretty low pressure cartridges because this is, you know, not a beefed up double rifle frame. But knowing that these exact frames were used for that is very, very interesting. Now the 35 BD essentially is you have switch barrels. So you have one set of barrels which is in either 12 gauge or 16 gauge, and then you have a cape gun barrel set which is 12 gauge or 16, plus your rifle barrel, which is the same as one of these. So you essentially get this, but with a set of shotgun barrels at the same time. And then the 35DO is the double rifle version. So it's not all in the same calibers. So we've got 7x57R, 30 Winchester, 8x57 JR, 32 Winchester, 9.3x72 normal, 35 Winchester, 405 Winchester. So not the same combinations as what you could get in the 35B, but also pretty cool. That's my, my two BSW shotguns. I would really love to have one of these to add to the collection. That would be absolutely excellent. And it's kind of a shame that that 35F has stuffed barrels. They're probably going to have to get resoldered, and or if I'm feeling really frisky, turn that into one of these in maybe 7x57 or 30-30. That would be pretty cool. But anyway, that's just a thought off the top of my head. Anyway, that's those two BSW shotguns. So I hope you got something out of that. I'll see you next video, and hooroo.